Sup Citrons? This is my how to get into governor's school video. Let's begin. I guess I should start out by talking about the application process. So I decided when I originally wanted to go into governor's school that I wanted to do visual art or visual media, depending on what your state is. I'm from North Carolina, so my regulation was visual art, and that was the media that I was going into. You end up getting two different prompts, which was from my state. One of them was talking about how there's a movement in our world, and how does that impact you as an artist, or how does that impact your inspiration? I chose to talk about political fashion, and I thought that was a really interesting topic. It was extremely different than anyone else that I think would end up showing into it. And I talked about how textiles inspire me and how being able to feel things and utilize every single day items is really inspirational as an artist, and that's kind of the route that I wanted to go with my pieces. And then the other essay was talking about some kind of display of leadership, or what is a skill that is used most often and most people wouldn't think about. And I believe that I used communication or like collaboration or something like that because it's so vital to being able to explain a project. But after I filled out that application, we had to get different letters, and this was the second part. So from this number 2 point, we had to get recommendation letters from our teachers. And this is something that really matters. So like a lot of people are like, well, I'll just get some teachers that I know really well or that really like me.
Don't do that.
Get you a teacher who relates to your field and knows you. So a lot of people will go to their drama department or something else. They're applying to science rather than going to a science teacher that they had either freshman or sophomore year that really knows them, and apply through that, because if that's the career path you're going into, you want those recommendations to be justified. So I went to my English teacher as well as my other teacher who I've worked with for various projects. She is a SciViz teacher. So after I turned in this application and I filled out all of the information, you have to fill out like an activities list of your resume and all this other information. So after you fill that in, I turned it in and then I waited. After you turn it in, you can only wait for like 2 weeks. So it's like, and then after it's went, you come back. So this is step 3. You get the letter back, and if your county recommends you to move up in the next level, this is where, as a student, you really have to like be on top of it. So I applied for visual art. If you're in another category other than dance, music, or art, you cannot do an audition. The papers, the essays, and like GPA is what they base off their decision. But in the audition aspect, you get a choice. Either you can go to the audition or you can make a video. I highly recommend to go to that interview. When people meet you, it's not so much about like they get to see you face to face and they get to see your art like in person. It's because they get to know you and you get to create an interaction with the judge. And I decided that I was going to go to that. I had another competition the same day, but in the end, it ended up paying off for me because I was allowed to make this connection with the judges and truly get to talk to them. Now, step 4, I want to talk about actually going to the audition and what you should expect in preparation for that audition. You need to pick 3 pieces. My 3 pieces, I wanted to show technical skill, a conceptualization, as well as a different media that I use. A lot of people came in there into the audition, and I don't know if they made it or not. I know that one of my friends who made it, she had 2 pieces of the same media. And you need to display your skill set and like what you are great at, but you also need to show that you're willing and open to trying and experimenting with new objects and new things. So I brought in 3 different pieces, and we set up into the interview. I arrived at like 11 o'clock because I had an afternoon audition, and there was 60 of us. There was 120 that auditioned for this in total, and they told us that there was going to be 40 that made it through. This already is extremely stressful because you're thinking that's a 1 in 3 shot. Well, if there's 20 people in 3 different rooms, that basically means that 2 of those rooms are going to be eliminated if they chose one from the morning session and one from the afternoon. So there's 40 people in total. So we are all in our audition. My last name's Williamson, so I'm literally in the back of the line waiting for everyone else. They set us up in these little booths, and then I have my 3 pieces. And I think now this is where I'm going to show you all my 3 pieces and talk a little bit about why I chose them and why you need to get something that you can talk about. So this was the first piece that I got. This is a watercolor painting of these ducks that I did. And the reason that I chose this piece was due to the fact that when you create something and it's in your media, which mine is watercolor, you need to show what you're best at in that media. I had a lot of like abstract pieces that I could have chosen, but I really chose to do this one because it has like feathering, you can see layering, you can see where I put in different colors and balance, and you really use my art principles and elements of design. So whenever you're like picking your pieces, if you're going to go to governor's school or any audition for art, make sure that you're picking pieces that display your technical level. So this was my technical piece with watercolor. The next piece that I chose to do was something that wasn't so much technical, but was rather about process and idea, because one of the questions that I got during my audition was, what is your process? And I think I could make an entire video on this, but if I kept it really short, is I like to sketch a lot. I like to have that kind of like bad and good, and you have this balance within your pieces of, you know what, I made mistakes here, but I didn't mean to, but know what, it was part of the entire piece. So I did this piece completely in ink because I felt like a lot of people wouldn't work in that media, and then I thought it was pretty out there. I wanted to really showcase my skill and the movement that I can get in my lines. So this was the second piece I chose. And this piece was really symbolic of Japan and how during their like monsoon seasons and during the rainy time, everyone is carrying around an umbrella. And when I was during the audition, I was talking about how like we always have doors that are opening and closing in front of us, and as we walk through life, like right now this woman's door is open and she's going to eventually close it, but it'll open again like an umbrella. But it was also supposed to relate to Japanese culture and how like when you look outside there's like this sea of umbrellas, so it's like she's looking at clouds, but they're all made of umbrellas. And then of course we have like some of these like electric lines which are really popular to Japanese architecture, and then her yukata. So I wanted to do a piece that showed that I like did cultural representation too, and then I researched other areas to get my inspiration from, and that it wasn't just I was getting inspiration from things that were like, it's not focusing, we back. That I was getting inspiration from a variety of things rather than just sketches or social media or something like that. This is more of a piece that was controversial, and I thought that it'd be important to have something that had like visual impact, as well as when people see it, they were gonna be like, what is the story behind that? Why did you create that? This was the piece that I did, and it was actually based off a poem from a North Carolina poet laureate. It's acrylic on a canvas board, and I thought that it'd be important to show this because whenever you're creating art, you need to have some kind of impact behind it. I mean, there's like a point in time when you create art just to get better or have your skill set improve, but when I make art, I like to have like a meaning behind it. So this was about a man who had visited his ancestors' like houses, and he wrote about how he found this little slave girl's graveyard and gravestone, and it was in this field of bluebells and cotton. And I just thought, what if she was still there? And like, what if she just felt like, I've given everything to you and I was innocent for what you did to me. So this is what this piece was about, but I thought that the lighting and like the technical skill like really showcased what it was about. Those were all three of my pieces, and I hope that this video will help with anyone who is looking to apply for governor's school where you're actually going to go and learn. But in any aspect of competition or something, always try to think outside the box. If everyone's doing like the same cliche trend or a certain concept that you're seeing online a lot looks good, like galaxies. I see galaxies everywhere, and I mean, to each their own, but at the same time, if you're not going to reinvent how that galaxy is presented, don't present it, because they've already seen it if you're going to a judge. And that's about it. I mean, if you all have any questions, please leave them below. I want to do a Q&A in the future, but I need to get more of a following before I can do that, so make sure you subscribe as well. And leave me a comment and a like, because I need to know how these are going, because I know this is on my second video, but I want to know if I should keep going and improve. I've improved the lighting. Getting my lighting down. I really appreciate you taking your time out of your day to watch this. I'm gonna go edit it now, and we'll see how it goes. But if y'all have any more questions about governor's school, please ask below. If you have questions about like what kind of things that they ask, and what about your art piece, please let me know and I'll answer all those. So thanks again, everyone, and I'll see you in the next video.